A century ago, the rhythm of life allowed most people in industrialized nations to cradle 8 or more hours of sleep each night, with fewer than 1 in 50 resting for 6 hours or less. Today, that harmony has fractured. Nearly 1 in 3 adults in places like the United States now skimps on slumber, a shift mirrored across the globe. Surveys paint a stark picture. Over half of adults in developed countries, some 800 million souls, routinely fall short of the 7 to 9 hours science deems essential. The World Health Organization has sounded the alarm, branding this widespread sleep scarcity a global health crisis. Yet this isn't a choice freely made. On weekends, the numbers flip. Close to 2/3 of people chase 8 hours or more, a frantic bid to reclaim what the workweek steals. This isn't indulgence. It's a desperate plea to balance the scales. Sleep, however, isn't a ledger that tolerates late payments. The mind can't simply reclaim lost rest, nor can it erase the toll of deprivation with a single long night. The deficit lingers, a quiet thief of vitality. Why should this matter beyond the individual? Does sleep's reach extend to the fabric of communities, economies, and institutions? Unequivocally, yes. From factory floors to classrooms, hospitals to government halls, sleep shapes productivity, learning, health, and even morality. Here, 4 arenas: workplace dynamics, coercive deprivation, educational systems, and medical practice, reveal how society stumbles when sleep falters and how some pioneers are charting a wiser course. The engine of industry. Sleep as fuel in the hum of commerce. Sleep is often treated as a dispensable luxury, a relic to be traded for relentless output. The executive burning midnight oil or the jet-lagged manager hopping continents is lauded as a titan of grit. Yet, this reverence for sleeplessness is a hollow creed. Businesses enforce strict codes on smoking or safety, yet yawn at sleep's neglect, blind to its sabotage of sharpness, ingenuity, and ethics, the very gears of progress. The cost is staggering. Across a handful of major firms, each sleep-starved worker bleeds roughly $1,800 annually in lost output, ballooning to $3,200 for the most exhausted. For those companies, that's a collective drain of $40 million yearly, a figure that would jolt any boardroom into action, broaden the lens, and nations hemorrhage billions. One estimate pegs the annual loss at $350 billion in one country alone, dwarfing investments in defense or education. Scaled to economic output, sleep deprivation siphons over 2% of prosperity, a leak that could double resources for schools if plugged. Why such ruin? The under-rested falter across every measure. Creativity dims, focus blurs, effort wanes. Picture: a sculptor handed a dull chisel. Given puzzles to crack, sleepy workers sidestep the tough ones, chiseling fewer, simpler solutions. Test them rested, then drained, and the pattern holds. Laziness isn't their nature. Sleep's absence is the culprit. They pedal harder for less ground, trapped in a cycle of late nights and early starts, oblivious to their own sluggishness. Morale dips, too. Jobs grow joyless under fatigue's weight. Worse, ethics fray. Studies reveal that those sleeping less than 7 hours are more prone to fudge reports, shift blame, or coast on others' efforts, a behavior dubbed group drifting. Even a half-hour shortfall can tip an honest collaborator into a corner-cutting shadow. Leaders aren't immune. A restless night turns a manager gruff, their teams disengaged, a ripple of apathy spreading outward. Yet perception lags, exhausted. Workers and bosses alike misjudge their own decline. Contrast this with trailblazers like tech giants and space agencies. Some offer rest hubs where naps spark breakthroughs. Others tailor schedules to natural rhythms, boosting output and well-being. A space program found that a mere 20-minute doze lifts performance by a third, alertness by half. Sleep isn't a soft perk. It's a hard-edged asset, yielding richer wages and sharper teams. The shadow of coercion. Sleep as a weapon beyond commerce, sleep's absence becomes a cudgel. Where once record books celebrated endurance, they now shun sleep deprivation as a cruel feat, its harms too grave to glorify. Science treads lightly here, ethics barring prolonged experiments. Yet some regimes wield it still, stripping rest from captives in a silent assault masked as interrogation. This practice falters on two counts. Practically, it muddies truth, memory phrase, logic buckles, and deceit spikes under sleep's loss. One study found a single night's deprivation doubles false admissions, rendering intelligence suspect. Ethically, it scars indelibly. Hearts falter, immunity crumbles, and minds teeter toward despair or delusion. A former captive once likened it to a fog where only rest, not freedom, was the prize, confessions traded for a moment's peace. Courts have decried it as inhumane, a breach of life's essentials, yet policies linger, permitting days of mere 4-hour slivers. This isn't progress. It's a stain society must scrub clean, honoring sleep as a right, not a pawn. The mind's forge. Sleep in learning education, too, bends under sleep's scarcity. Dawn bells ring early. Half of schools start before 7:30 a.m., buses rolling by 5:45 a.m., forcing youth awake at hours clashing with their shifting biological clocks. For a teen, 5:30 a.m. feels like 3:30 a.m. to an adult, a brutal rousing that dulls focus and frays tempers. Once, 9 a.m. starts let most rise naturally. Now, alarms shatter that grace for 9 and 10. This clash imperils more than grades. Adolescence, a crucible for mental resilience, buckles under chronic sleep loss, risking disorders from melancholy to madness. Decades ago, volunteers stripped of dream-rich sleep spiraled into visions and paranoia within days, symptoms echoing severe illness. Today's youth, robbed of those late morning hours, teeter on a similar edge. History whispers wisdom. Early researchers linked longer rest to brighter minds, a truth borne out by modern data. Children sleeping more ace exams. Twins parted by rest diverge in intellect. Shift school to 8:45 a.m., as some districts have, and scores soar. Math and reading gains rival years of study. Attendance rises, misbehavior drops, even accidents plummet, slashing teen deaths by 2/3 in one case, a leap dwarfing tech safety boons. Yet, inertia grips tight. Bus logistics and parental schedules resist. Valid hurdles but flimsy against the stakes. Low-income youth, tethered to dawn routes, suffer most, widening gaps. Meanwhile, sleep's mimicry of attention disorders, irritability, distraction, sees kids dosed with stimulants, a cruel twist when rest could heal. Half may bear hidden sleep woes, mislabeled and mistreated. The healer's burden. Sleep in care in hospitals. Sleep's neglect turns deadly. A healer's hands, guided by a bee, foggy mind falter, errors spike 35% after a 24-hour vigil, diagnostics collapse fivefold. Each year, hundreds die from such lapses, a toll ranking among top killers. Residents, molded by a grueling tradition born of a cocaine-laced pioneer, endure shifts defying reason, their own health fraying, needle sticks, crashes, despair. Patience. Face the roulette. A surgeon unrested doubles the odds of a botched cut. Experience offers no shield. Biology bows to no bravado. Reforms cap first years at 24 hours, yet leave veterans exposed, a half measure mocked by evidence that 16 hours marks the brink. Europe trains healers in half the hours, with finer outcomes, proof the old ways are dogma, not destiny. New Dawn Sleep's crisis isn't fate. Where medicine and schools falter, innovators like search firms and explorers show the way. Rest as a pillar, not a burden. Society thrives when sleep does, a truth etched in wallets, minds, and lives. To ignore it is to dim our collective flame.